Good afternoon. No, almost afternoon, but let's call it still morning here in Western Australia. I'm in Perth, in the city of Cockburn. I'm in Coburn. I'm in Friction Penis. Only for, oh, son of a motherless goat. I'm checking out tomorrow. Yikes, forgot about that. All right, which means that I have to check in today. Wow, all right, that's why I talk so much. Oh, now I've lost the train of my thought. What was I going to talk about? Yesterday, the day before, 36 years ago, what was the reason I came in here for? Let's go with radio. I have been listening to a radio station for since September 2021, maybe just a little bit beforehand. Let's call it August 2020. Let's speak English. Let's call it August 2021. I was at Darwin Festival and I went and saw a production by a bunch of Central Australian artists. We're talking some Indigenous, some overseas people who now call Australia home, and some people that were born on this landmass that I call Terra Australis. Now, I don't need to say any more about that because I've written extensively and I've talked extensively and I've videoed extensively. If you go to www.overheardproductions.com and just look up Mparntwe, and that's spelled Mparntwe, Mparntwe, or Alice Springs if you must. A love letter to Mparntwe. Let's leave that one there. I did not go on to ACCC in Mparntwe. I didn't even attempt to put my name up as a on-air presenter. I did try to get a lease, quite coincidentally, not ironically, Americans, for fuck's sake, just don't do it. Coincidentally, the woman who used to present a show called A Little Bit Country is either the owner or the leaseholder of the place where I was looking at moving into and getting a 6-month lease in a place that I would struggle to remember the suburb. I'm going to say it starts with a B. I'm going to say it's north of Alice Springs town centre. And I'm going to say it's within walking distance of the town centre because I walk a lot, and equally walking distance of the old telegraph station, which is a historical place. Thank you, Mum. A historical place, and I walked in there and there was a $15 tour. That's not going to break the bank, but at that point I was a little bit low energy and I thought, it's not going anywhere, I'll come back. So I put in for the lease and I said, look, please. I met the woman, T full stop, who is not the presenter. L full stop had been called away interstate, but the person that was going to be my co-tenant, had I been successful in that lease, I met her. We had so many points of correlation, art, singing, all these sorts of things. And I said to her, look, please, whatever you do, just that word, please, if you make a decision, because I was ready to sign on the dotted line there and then, but as has happened so often, as recently as December last year, or a little bit beforehand, we'll say October, for a mid-December start, oh look, I just got one other person to speak to, and as soon as I hear those words, I smile sweetly and I say, I'll hear from you when I'm talking with you. But please, can you let me know? If you make a decision, you can't offend me, but don't forget me. That's what I said. And I don't usually say that, don't forget me. That sounds a bit needy, doesn't it? Maybe that's what done it. Then maybe that's what done it. What done did it. And I said, don't forget me, please. And she said, oh, how could I forget you? Oh, my God. About a week later, I was in Glen Helen, which is, struggling to remember the country name for it, but let's call it Toricha, which is the Western Aranda. It's the West McDonnell Ranges, which is Toricha. And I was out at Glen Helen when I sent an email or a text and said, "Hi, so it's been a week. I'm guessing it's a no." And the response was reasonably quick, and it was, look, I'm sorry, excuse one, excuse two, excuse three, I've gone with someone else." Now, there are several possible responses to that. Sorry, I plosive into the microphone. There are several possible responses. I chose grace. That's another long story for a longer time, but I chose grace. And I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that things have been grim. And maybe I might have done a very quiet backhander as if to say, guess you did forget me after all. But not in those many words. I find it very hard to interpret silence. I really do. But the older I get, the less I try to. I make educated guesses. I don't assume, because assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups. And if you're going to try and tell me that assume makes an ass out of you and me, I'm going to say, which part of America are you from? It's coming up to 6:36. It's Bill Quinn from the city of Cockburn, Friction Penis. I'll see you when I'm looking at you. I'll talk with you in your proximity, and maybe, just maybe if I ring, you might answer the phone. Bye for now.